Hello, hello, my fellow sensitive people. You know who it is. It is me, Whimsy, your favorite tarot reader named Whimsy, or the Oracle of Whimsy, if you prefer. First things first. Remember when I said that the winds were coming? That was due to a meditation, a remote viewing I did about 4 months ago, where when I sat in the energy, I felt that winds were going to hit the planet that we hadn't really seen before, that we were not prepared for the type of winds that were going to start coming in. Sorry, that's my refrigerator. Okay, all better. So the winds are coming, the winds are here, and the winds have been creating a lot of damage. It was cool, I saw, well not cool, but I saw a video on CNN where the winds were so strong that an entire trailer had rolled and it was a disaster. So unfortunately, the same thing is happening here in California. So there's rolling blackouts. They're putting out people's lights. I hope I'm going to be okay, but I wanted to go ahead and just do a quick video and talk a little bit about that. So more winds. I'm seeing more winds coming in, and people had asked me if I could look at do a remote on the weather, and unfortunately that trend seems to be escalating. I don't know what causes the wind. I don't know why the winds showed up, but the winds do show up, and it's going to get a lot worse, I'm sorry to say, both here and in the Midwest, pockets of the Midwest, and possibly Northeast as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick throw today on just the weather for the country and what we can expect in the coming days on the weather for the country and for the planet as a whole. All right, I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as I ask for permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower my viewers on their journey so that we can all make the best decisions for ourselves, for the people we love, for our families, and for the planet. And with that, I say amen. So yeah, I just want to, the weather's getting really wild, and unfortunately, I think it's probably going to get a lot worse. Let me just go ahead and see what I see. Those people who want to learn how to read cards and look at weather. Air signs tend to be wind. The first thing I'm seeing in the base card is the Two of Swords, and then the Eight of Pentacles, which is the Mastery card. So when I go into the energy on the base cards, the base of the matter, for me, that is how I read the cards underneath. It's the base or the main point we're supposed to take away from the reading. The first is that somebody or something is putting the brakes on whatever the problem is. So we could be seeing a lot of preventative care coming up in the couple weeks ahead, or in the next few weeks, in order to just protect ourselves from these environmental changes. So Two of Swords moves in to kind of put the brakes on or create some kind of security. It's not just going to be people turning off the electricity. We're also going to be seeing shutdowns at airports, and shutdowns at other areas that need high security or are vulnerable. So that's the first thing going in. The second is the Eight of Pentacles, which is mastery. So the people at the Weather Service, the people that are involved in dealing with hurricanes, earthquakes, etc., everybody that is the master seems to be very much involved, both here in California, but also in other places where we're seeing this emergency activity. This also reveals to me, because it's a base card, that there are a lot of systems that are being put in place by experts to protect against extreme weather that really hasn't made its way into public conversation. The breakdown of America's infrastructure and ability to handle these weather changes is one of those devastating facts that America's going to have to address as we begin to reassess how we can financially upgrade our infrastructure. But it comes again, both with a Two of Swords also being possibly not wanting to look at or not wanting to see something that has to do with winds or air. Again, Two of Swords. Four of Wands is coming in, which I always think of that as a celebration or the wedding canopy. It's also sometimes typified as the 4th month or within 4 months or April. So there seems to be some good news on the horizon, possibly by spring of 2020 when it comes to the environment. Some kind of real systems coming into place, people coming into government, policies going into place that are going to be protective of the ecosystem. It's almost like the investment into infrastructure in this country has been so poor that the private sector comes in and will begin to take responsibility for improving infrastructure in the United States and elsewhere. You can see both the Four of Wands and also a Temperance card. This also leads me to suspect that there's going to be a huge shift in terms of not just the country, but the entire planet by spring of 2020, where everyone's going to get on board in terms of what they have to do about climate change. The 4th house is the Tower. That doesn't surprise me, considering that extreme weather is what this throw was about. There are 2 schools of thought within the scientific community about how to address certain environmental issues that are coming up. But what I like about this card chart is that it seems to suggest that in the coming months, more and more experts are going to be working together to create viable alternatives and solutions to some of the problems we're facing. Transformation of the situation sits in the past, and 6 of Wands, or the ability to go forward, success in battle. 6 of Wands also, if you're reading Wands as month cards, means within a 6-month period. And then you have a Tower here. So my concern is that a Tower or some kind of major environmental event could take place within the next 4 to 6 months that is so dramatic that in a way it ushers in a new renaissance or a new worldview about being proactive and coming together in order to create solutions. Just because that 6 of Wands is coming in, but I think we're going to have to pass through the Tower first. Where we are at right now, we're hooked to addictions or something that seems to be creating the problem. This can be an addiction to oil or red meat, which produces a lot of methane gas. It's how our actions are, or our addictions to something, are creating the problem. We have tied ourselves to the situation or problem we find ourselves in through our own actions, through addiction, through poor habits. What is around us? It keeps talking, the cards, about people coming in trying to find solutions to pull us out of this disastrous tailspin, which seems to be escalating really quickly, which has to do with global warming. The hope and the fears, of course, is business, and the realization that businesses will go bankrupt if there isn't a cohesive plan in order to save the environment. And then the final outcome is to walk away, walking away from whatever structure or previous foundation existed. I'll do a clarification to find out what that's about. Letting go of things. So some things will be lost. We're going to have some losses. Some people are going to be blamed and not want to take responsibility. This is looking a lot like a hurricane. Hopes and fears, the emotional health and well-being of the planet. And then the final outcome is 4 of Swords, which is still a samadhi. It's a card that has to do with meditation and taking a break. I'm going to go ahead and predict with these cards as regards the question of the environment. It seems to be suggesting that over the next 4 to 6 months, we're going to be seeing extreme weather. The extreme weather is going to cause the scientific community to become far more cooperative and consolidated, trying to work together, different people from different areas coming together to cooperate. I think that because the federal government has been slow to respond, there'll be a lot of private sector companies, etc., that will begin to move in to try to create eco-friendly business models, simply because they understand that they will not be able to continue financially in the coming years with these kinds of environmental changes. So the one takeaway, the one negative here is I don't like that tower in the fourth house, because the tower in the fourth house can be lightning, thunder, explosions. I don't know what this is. It seems to be the result of disagreement or an inability for people to agree on something, and it possibly has to do with money. So my concern is, I hope it's not war. I'd like to think it's not war. Because it's an environmental question, it probably has more to do with how poor environmental choices due to industry have impacted the ecosystem, because Two of Pentacles is a money card. All right, I'm going to do a quick throw on Syria before we close today, because I know people are worried about Syria. Let's take a look and see if the Kurds, how the Kurds are doing and how Syria is doing. Syria, the Middle East, Kurds. We don't know until we see. A judgment is being made, and the Two of Swords shows up again, so that could indicate a stalemate. So some kind of decision has to be made. It looks like generals on both sides are not agreeing, and even though the generals appear to be trying to create a solution, there may be opposition or problems implementing it, because leadership doesn't seem to be in agreement with the military. Some kind of judgment coming down and a refusal to see or cooperate or agree on it. Current situation is a disaster, or certainly a high stress situation for the people involved. Nine of Swords comes in as the first house, and there's the Tower. So we could be seeing more violence. I'm concerned about terrorist attacks on oil rigs, oil production specifically, which could have a negative environmental impact. I think there's a potential risk for bombing oil rigs, oil areas of oil production. Yeah, terrorism or an attack. And it has to do with money or competition regarding money, possibly embargoes or competing for sale. So it's almost like you have two sides. They both want you to buy their product, and they begin sabotaging or bombing each other's factories or where they are producing the product in order to win, right? Ace of Swords in the third house, and in order to profit, money tree. Loss of money in the past. There's a sun coming in, that's pretty good. And it's crossing with that money card. And the wish card comes in. Four of Wands again, April. Something major is going to happen in April. Hopes and fears, the ethos of the country. And then the final outcome is Ace of Cups, an offer. In plainer words, what it seems to suggest is that the tensions are going to escalate in the Middle East, particularly around Syria. There could be bombings or attacks on both sides, specifically targeting oil rigs, areas of oil production. There appears to be some kind of attempts by mediators to broker some kind of peace deal, and that will probably begin to come out by April of 2020, just because we have smoother waters and Ace of Cups, which is an offer of peace. So expect to see continuing tension in the Middle East, and possibly some kind of brokered peace deal or something that will resolve this tension by April of 2020. That's what I see. This is a really quick video. I'm running around today because Saturday's a busy day. If you're still trying to get in for a tarot reading, I do phone readings. I would call you after you make the appointment. If you are out of the United States, just go ahead and give me your phone number along with your country code, etc., and I'll just call you back via WhatsApp. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Couple failed to share one piece of vital information: the identity of Archie's godparents. Now, there's no written rule that says they need to share this with anyone, but the public seems to be desperate to know. And since the prince and duchess weren't let